Hi, I'm here to pick up my son Milo.
There's no Milo here.
Who picked up my son from school?
Streaming only on Peacock.
I'm gonna need the name of everyone that could have a connection.
You don't understand. It was just the 5 of us.
So this was all planned.
What are you gonna do?
I will do whatever it takes to get my son back.
I honestly didn't see this coming. These nice people killing each other.
All Her Fault. A new series streaming now only on Peacock.
This episode is brought to you by Greenlight. Get this. Adults with financial literacy skills have 82% more wealth than those who don't. From swimming lessons to piano classes, us parents invest in so many things to enrich our kids' lives. But are we investing in their future financial success? With Greenlight, you can teach your kids financial literacy skills like earning, saving, and investing. And this investment costs less than that after-school treat. Start prioritizing their financial education and future today with a risk-free trial at greenlight.com/Spotify. Greenlight.com/Spotify.
Ladies and gentlemen, non-binary listeners, crooks and crookians, heroes and heroines, Kelsey Grammer and Fraser Crane. The audio performance you are about to enjoy discusses casinos and gambling. We do not recommend gambling with money you cannot afford to lose or that is needed to pay bills. If you have a gambling problem, contact your problem gambling hotline. If you do not know how to contact your problem gambling hotline, send an email to help@casinocombat.com. We will find that number for you and provide it to you. Our hosts' past performances are not indicative of anyone's future results, including his own. All materials presented here are based on actual facts. Names and dates are changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. Some events, unrelated outcomes, may be omitted in the interest of brevity and clarity. The contents spelled with a K of this episode are the property of Volcanic Dingo LLC. All rights reserved. It's me, it's TRG, the Rambling Gambler. I am just trying to make a living and doing the best I can.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
Sorry, guys, let's hold off on that one for just a minute. Just a minute, guys. Welcome to episode 145 of our Casino Combat Podcast. If this is your first time, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are truly glad that you are here. But I confess, your arrival at this particular moment on the timeline is a bit awkward, just a small bit awkward. This episode is going to be very unique, very special, very different from what we have done for the previous 144 episodes. If this is truly your first time, you might want to consider stopping, going back to episode 144 to see what this is normally like, and then if you like what you heard, and we hope you like what you heard, then come back to this one. It will make a lot more sense. We don't do this every time. This is a bit different. If this is your next time, especially if you listened to episode 144, welcome back. As always, thank you for the gift of your time. You know what we are doing. Our battle plan is simple. I'm going to stop talking in just a minute, and Nakatomi Tony is going to take over in the virtual VIP lounge for our only segment this episode, which is a roundtable discussion about my recent trip to the Las Vegas Craps for the Cure event and a private craps table event with Premier Casino hosting.
Lyrics, dude. Recite him some lyrics.
Okay, guys, now it fits. Now it works. You know, I hear the blues a callin', toss salad and scrambled eggs. And maybe I seem a bit confused, yeah maybe, but I got you pegged. But I don't know what to do with those tossed salads and scrambled eggs. They're calling again. TRG has left the segment.
A little bit of the bubbly.
Welcome to the most listened to segment in casino podcasting, the virtual VIP lounge. Our lounge is open, and we have the best virtual everything, virtually all the time. Best virtual food and drink served in any virtual VIP lounge anywhere on the interwebs. Guaranteed, or your money back. As always, if you can, press pause, pour yourself something to drink, fix a plate, settle in. We have a true virtual VIP lounge this episode. TRG, why don't you tell us a story about the segment before we get to the segment?
All right, Nakatomi Tony, for sure. So first off, I have some of ECE's Indian Scotch with me today. I'm looking forward to enjoy some of that as we go along here, having a few sips. I recently went to Las Vegas to attend the Craps for the Cure event, and somewhere in the planning process for going to that event, I was invited to a Premier Casino hosting private craps table weekend event at Sunset Station. So as this week is going along, I'm texting with Nakatomi Tony kind of a bit along the way. And the last day he says, instead of texting, if you want to tomorrow, we could do a debriefing call when you get back. And I was like, okay, that sounds great. So I said, hey, but do you want to do it in Zoom? And that way we can record it and make it a segment. And you can just ask me questions about the trip and we'll just talk and record the entire conversation for the virtual VIP lounge. So NT thought that was fine. And then that evolved into, so, hey, how about if we invite Inner Circle and Excelsior Brigade members in the Slack virtual VIP lounge to join us, see if they'd like to be part of the conversation, and we would have a true virtual VIP lounge session. And just like that, I get back. It's just like it. I walk into a casino VIP lounge. Here's all the members of the Excelsior Brigade and the Inner Circle that had time hanging out, and we just talk about the trip. So that's what we're going to try to do here in this episode. Give my impression of this really unique trip by answering questions from the other folks that are here in the lounge with me today. Inner Circle member ECE, PhD, fourth to the ring, was supposed to be here. He may still pop in with us. We do have Inner Circle member Gator Gambler, fifth to the ring. We have Virginia Casino player Doug, defender of the Commonwealth, eighth to the ring.
Hello, everyone. It's good to see you.
We have Equine Ensign, ninth to the ring.
How's it going, everybody?
All right, excellent. I don't think I missed anybody. I don't think we have any last-minute additions. Okay, so then acting as host and moderator, we have Excelsior Brigade member, Internet Ambassador, Nakatomi Tony. Now, we did this on short notice. We are going fast, breaking things and making things up as we go along. So we will see how this goes this evening. That's the story, NT. It's your segment. Thanks for hosting. Go ahead and take control.
Thanks, TRG. So let's talk about this event, just a brief overall overview here. So it was a 2-day event, right?
Right. So it was a Saturday for roughly 12 hours and a Sunday for roughly 12 hours. Streamed from a dealer training school. Because of the weekend, it's been the past couple years in a actual casino and done telethon style for 24 hours straight, like the old Jerry Lewis telethons. Had some date conflicts. NASCAR was in town. The While We Were Young Festival was in town, and they couldn't get a deal with a casino. So they did it in a training space. When I looked at it, I was trying to do it as inexpensively as possible. I had met John, the guy whose idea it was, last year, too late to do anything. I wanted to be part of it. I wanted to go out and see it, but I also wanted to do it on the cheap. And so when I booked it, it was cheaper to go out Wednesday to Monday airfare than to go Friday, Saturday, Sunday, come back Monday airfare. Like the price got cut in half by going more days. And Caesars at the link was willing to comp me all those nights in a suite. So it made more sense with no cost to go live there. Now, the cool thing about Craps for the Cure is that it started out being a cancer thing its first year and then evolved into being about training service dogs for veterans with PTSD. And so it's all centered around raising money and at the same time educating about the need for these dogs and educating about craps and casino gambling. So serving a lot of masters, and then added into that, after I already had my plans made, I got invited to an event where there was going to be a private craps table just for the people that were invited. And I couldn't pass that up since I was going to be in town anyway.
I've never been invited to a private craps table. Can you tell us what that was like? Were there limits? Were there different rules for the table?
So I've never been invited to anything like this. Okay, in fact, I'm going to tell the whole story, I guess. I've never been invited to anything like this either. Premier Casino hosts posted it. The folks that put me on the cruise, they posted they were going to have this event, and if you're qualified, we'd love to have you. And so I asked if I was qualified. They said I was. I said, I'm in. I've never been to something like this. And then Tony knows this. As we get closer and closer, I start getting in my own head. I start thinking, because particularly I find out that there are people that have 5-digit line of credit at this event. And I'm thinking, what did I get myself into? Can I afford this? Am I just going to embarrass myself? I ended up kind of asking the guy running things privately before I left just to make sure. And he said, you're fine. You're fine. Your bets are probably going to be smaller than mine. So it was a $15 minimum crapsless craps table that was brought in specifically because that's what the players requested. This casino was Sunset Casino. They don't normally have crapsless craps, but that's what these players wanted. And so they brought the table in special. It was hard as a rock. It was like shooting on slate. And the good shooters loved it that way. That was exactly what they wanted, was no bounce. Table max was 3,000. I don't think anybody got to table max. At the same time, it wasn't uncommon to see somebody just take the 6 and 8 for minimum and the 3 and the 11 for minimum. It's not like all the bets. I don't think I saw anybody like 110 inside was common. But that's not a surprisingly large number. I mean, there were people that went a quarter all the way across after the point was established. But the other big thing that you would really take a lot of getting, not a lot, but you want to be aware of is that because it's their own private table, you always shoot from wherever you want to shoot from. Everybody just moves to make room for you to be where you want to be. And they pick up and move their chips around so that everybody gets to be the place where they shoot best. And there were certainly people there that had done it with each other enough that if somebody got pulled into a conversation, the other person would go, it's fine. It's fine. I know what he wants. I know what he wants. Don't worry about it. He wants this and this. And the dealer goes, is that okay? Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So wow. A lot of comfort level with each other, a lot of accommodating each other, but not super high limits. And I mean, big bets. I mean, at one point, I don't normally bet the 10. At one point, I started out with a 10 at $15 and got paid at $100 eventually, pressing that up before the big red came and things actually got taken out. So there were big bets on the table. I had some big bets on the table from time to time.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of fun. So that was before the actual Craps for the Cure event, right? Kind of with them. So the way it ended up was I ended up having Wednesday night and all day Thursday on my own at the link in a 1-bedroom, 1.5 bath. And I was there. Modest accommodations.
Yes. Actually, excellent accommodations. And I got to tell you, the last October when I left Vegas, I told Mrs. TRG that if I never went again, I was cool with that. And if I did go again, I didn't want to be on the Strip. And I put myself back where I didn't want to be because I thought the event was important enough in a lot of ways that I was the link right in the middle of the Strip was where I had a free place to live. And I was just going to make the best of it. And I was going to play craps and slots if I needed to. And I ended up being really happy with the room. I ended up being really happy with the location. I was really happy with the food and amenities at the link. And I found both Harrah's and Flamingo had a high limit 3-2 free bet blackjack table. And that was a good risk reward trade-off. I would happily take the extra 1% house advantage for the bankroll protection. And if you want to hear that story, I can tell you the free bet story if you want. But anyway, so I had Tuesday through Friday afternoon at the link, then went out and checked into Sunset Station and had Friday night at the private craps table with the group, then got up Saturday morning, and while the group was going to the pool and the barber and breakfast and all of that, I went to the Craps for the Cure event, came back, played on the private table with them, went back to the Craps for the Cure event, and by the time I got back from that, they were closing up. The staff was, a lot of the players had left Sunday afternoon, and the private table was shutting down, and I kind of also went into shutdown mode and wrapped it up. So a little bit of a lot of things.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual event. So it's at the CEG Training Center.
Right.
So I'm looking at the schedule right now that's on the craftsforthecure.com website, and it looks like they have several speakers each day.
Yes, and I will say that I found for me, look, it was very much, because of where it was very much like being behind the scenes at the making of a live streaming event, a live television broadcast, if you will. They had a lot of speakers. They had a lot of speakers famous in the gambling space. Tony Leo spoke. A lot of internet personalities spoke. Excellent. If you get a chance to watch it back, the first day, toward the end of the day, presentation by Ellis Island was amazingly informative, incredibly informative. It was all about how we get rated, how ratings are done. I won't try to do it justice, but I will say I learned that we are rated on so much more than just the amount of our wager and the number of times we make it. I learned, for instance, and I know that ECE and Doc and I have had questions and conversations back and forth. It's not so important at many, not all, but at many casinos and most Vegas casinos, how much you bought in for and how much your first bet was is not nearly as important as we thought it was. Because at least on the Vegas Strip and Ellis Island, they have an identifying chip in every chip. And AI is watching what you're wagering, how much you're wagering, and it's tracking it more than the pit boss. And when you say to the pit boss, what do you have me in at? He's adjusting what guesses the computer has made about how to rank you. At least that was my interpretation of what I heard explained. You might watch it and you might hear different nuance, but there's also a level of knowledge of the game that's approximated, how much skill you're playing with. And so they're forming a mini profile of you to decide how much to give you back and not you. So that was really, really good. But they had people talking about craps progression. They had people talking about how to get comped on cruise ships. They had folks talking about, the second day in the morning, we had a whole segment on security and how security works and what they can see and what they can't see and what they know and what they don't know and what angle. We even got into, and Mitch wouldn't have liked it, but we even got into the most common ways people cheat and the most common ways you can cheat. And they were teaching it from the point of view of, if you don't want to be accused, don't do these things. Don't sit in these spots at a craps table. So a lot of different stuff, a lot of different things presented. And I will say, I appreciated a lot of the material. I didn't go for the material. That was not one or two on my motivations for why I went. But at least for this year, and I haven't been in previous years, but at least for this year, being there was not the best way to get the content. Because it's also a school, there was a point on Saturday, like when Eric from Premier Casino Hosting did his segment, where I sat to start his segment, and because there were classes going on for tourists in the school, I didn't hear any of Eric's presentation.
I did watch that segment, and I understand what you're saying. It was difficult, and he was mic'd, so it was clearer for someone watching on YouTube what he was saying. But I can totally see how someone in the room would not be able to hear what he was saying, because there was a lot of crosstalk, and you could hear the action behind the speakers.
Well, that matches. Then I realized, honestly, after his, I was almost ready to throw in the towel, but I wanted to hear something that was coming up next. That may have been the Ellis Island. And I realized there was another,
right after Eric.
Yeah, there was another section in the room that if I went around a pillar and past a display, then they did have a little section just off camera, but with chairs and couches where you could be kind of right on top of the speaker and opposite the noise on the other end. So that was just a learning curve on my part.
Hey, TOG.
Sorry, go ahead, Equine Hansen.
Sorry, I'm at the bar, and so if there's background noise, it's people here. Going back to that Ellis Island and where you sit at a craps table, certain cheaters sit at certain spots, they said?
Yes.
Did I hear that right?
You heard it absolutely right. You heard it here second. It was all said this weekend by the representative from Ellis Island.
So I got to ask.
Yeah, no, the most common place that cheaters sit is all the way around, almost on the house's side, right beside the don't.
That's where I like to stand.
That's where I like to go, because I like to be next to the dealer to talk to them and make sure they're getting my bets right.
Same reasoning, but it's the same thing.
Well, apparently a common, and once again, I'm paraphrasing from memory. The Ellis Island presentation was better. The cheating presentation is better than what I'm going to do. But apparently it's very common to put money on the don't, assume it will be missed if you don't say anything by weaker dealers. There was some conversation about where you go in Vegas to find weaker dealers, break-in dealers, and have some opportunities in that regard. But apparently it's common to put bets there, hope they go unnoticed, then hope for the ability to change them. So I put a quarter down, it's unnoticed. The toss is a 4. And when I reach down to point out, hey, this needs to travel, because they didn't notice it, so they're not traveling it, you cap it with another quarter.
Drop another quarter on it, yeah.
Right? Or you can claim that if you're making multiple don'ts, if you make a don't and it travels and you put another don't out and they're not paying attention, and then the throw is a 7 or an 11, you go, no, that was my odds. I said it. I said odds. No. Right? So it's and there were other examples, and I'm not going to try to paraphrase those, but they gave other illustrations in the service of saying, this is what I teach dealers to look out for. This is what security looks out for. They were pointing out situations in which, because, and this was actually really brilliant. I'm glad you got me there, Equine Ensign. The focus was on the idea that the cameras don't have microphones. So it's a verbal game, one of the few verbal games in the casino where there aren't hand gestures established for play. And the very nature of the verbal situation means you can try to convince a dealer that they didn't hear you, or that your bet means one thing in one situation or one thing in another. And this is also the most common way that dealers work with players to cheat. Player drops chips right at the end. Dealer says bet. Whatever comes up is what you just bet on. because the dealer's feeding you and you're feeding him or her some back on the back end. So the fiction is that you called something out just as the dice moved. They said bet, they picked up the money, then they put the money down wherever the bet would get paid. And if they get asked, they say, yep, that's what he called. And I say, yep, that's what I called. Apparently, dealer and 2 or 3 players took the win for 1.2. I'm probably getting that number wrong, but $1 million or more over the course of a year before they finally got caught and arrested. And they didn't get caught because of surveillance. They got caught because a pit boss got suspicious.
Sounds good. I can kind of get where that corner is. Eyes aren't always on you either, because everyone's looking forward, not to that back corner. So I can see how it is easier to drop chips and pick up if you want to pick up.
Yep, and I'm like you guys. That's where I like to hang out a lot of times if I'm not.
Well, it's so
shooting.
close to the dealer. Like, I want the dealer to hear what I'm saying because it's a verbal game.
Well, is that only in Vegas? Because when I played, I see that it has no call bets on the table. I'll have that
No
warning
call
on
bets,
there.
from my understanding, is no call bets means you have to have some money on the table.
Okay.
It's like, if some random person comes up and just like, I want a 6, and they have no money on the table, that would be a call bet, from my understanding.
You could throw money down to do it.
Yeah.
I've seen it go both ways where people had money on the table and they're like, nope, no call bets, because you got that person that's last minute every time throwing it out there, and they're just late every time. So the dealer or the pit boss starts to go, nope, no call bets. Usually they will give you a call bet even if it doesn't say it, but I've seen them do it where the person had money on the table, but they just kept on throwing it in just as they're getting ready to throw and calling it, and then I'm like, nope, not taking it.
This episode is brought to you by eBay. Buying parts for your car? You'll know that will it work feeling. But on eBay, buying parts is different. eBay's free returns means if it doesn't fit, or if it isn't what you expected, you just print a label, drop it off, and get your refund fast. No haggling, no stress, and at least 30 days to return any eligible item. Millions of parts, free returns. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
With new, gentler scented Clorox disinfecting wipes, clean finally smells as good as it feels. On everything from lamps to ceiling fans, even on your kid's toy shark. Oh, ouch. Clorox disinfecting wipes, now available in crisp lemon. Find it on Amazon. Clorox, clean feels good.
TOG, my assumption is there was some networking that could be done at the event as well. Is that accurate?
That's, my first motivation was support a charity that I thought, okay, a little about me. I prefer small charities. I prefer small charities where I kind of know, not like I'm this big deal, not that at all, but just I prefer where I know the people involved a little bit and it's unique and it's narrow, and this seemed to fit those criteria. And so that was my first motivation. My second and less altruistic motivation was I wanted to be in the room with people who know more about doing what I do than I know about what I do. I have been making this up with no real examples or knowledge of how to do it. I've in some ways avoided that intentionally. And so I wanted to see people who were much better at this part than me and how they worked and meet some of them and get to know some of them. I wanted to learn more about craps organically from people who are really good at it. And that was my Craps for the Cure reason. And then when I got the opportunity to join this private table event and be introduced to that world and see how that world works and what it's like, and is that really a place I fit? Once again, I didn't even know that existed 2 or 3 years ago. I'd never heard of that. And I certainly assumed that was not a space I belonged in. So I wanted to do that networking that way. So multifaceted, multiple boxes I was trying to check, trying to meet people. I like the charity that Crafts for the Cure is trying to help. I got to meet the COO. I got to meet with her and have several conversations with her. And that's the big thing that needs to be said. More than the great free bet blackjack story, even more than the insights from the private table event, the big thing that needs to be said is I bought the ticket to get in. We got us on camera. If I'm just there as me and I'm wearing the shirt and I'm handing out the chips with the QR code and the name of the podcast on them, I'm not getting on camera. I'm not getting that, whatever it was, 60 seconds to say anything or be on camera or talk about the podcast or any of those things. I didn't do that. And I was not personally prepared to write the check to try to make that happen. But because Nakatomi Tony had an idea, and because many of you were willing to make a donation, then I showed up at the event representing us. And because I was representing us, they wanted me to be on camera to represent all of us and what we are doing. And it was very clear to me in that moment. I've said it a lot. This is ours. We'll make of it what, to as much as possible, we all want it to be. And I may be the most common voice, but I am really trying to speak for all of you in those situations, not for myself. So I think we accomplished a lot. And I would like to think that, perhaps next year we are there as more than just me representing us, that there are several of us there, and maybe even, knock on wood, dare to dream, in a year or two, it's Craps, and then in little tiny letters, and cards for the Cure. That maybe there is a segment about things to do with other ways to gamble, other aspects of gambling than just craps. It's always going to be a craps-focused event. I'm going to ramble for a second. This has been a fascinating thing to me. There is no benefit unless you are counting cards and relaying information or edge sorting or counting queens and trying to get some type of side bet payoff. There's zero advantage to playing blackjack or baccarat as a group. It may be a social game in which we have conversations and cheer each other on, but blackjack and baccarat are not games that benefit from being a group. I saw in big, bold spotlights that craps is a game that playing as a group creates immense value financially, immense energy. And so this is always going to be a craps event because it's always going to be about that. But it was also about surveillance, and it was also about how to wager. And maybe, as I said, just in a little tiny bit, maybe there's an opportunity for some of our content and our thoughts to be part of that presentation going forward. And that's an over the rainbow thing. That's a speak it and maybe it'll happen thing. But I've learned to believe in those. I've learned to believe in those because over and over, we've done that. But do not think for 1 minute that I do not realize that I didn't accomplish those things. I absolutely didn't.
Can I jump in?
Please.
Quick
quick question. The host from Ellis Island touched on getting rated at bubble craps versus the regular craps table. Someone asked the question, how come often bubble craps you get no rating whatsoever, you get no comps for that? And he gave an answer, and I wasn't sure it was clear. Did you catch it, or
I caught it. No, I caught it 100%. I caught it. I was sitting right there for it. And I didn't think it was a very good answer either. In fact, I almost felt at a couple points because people tried to come back to it because it's important to craps players. And people tried to come back to it. And I felt like in many ways what he ended up coming down to is we just don't have a better way, and that's just how it is. And I thought that wasn't any, I can't say it wasn't a good answer. It may be the only answer.
The cop-out answer, though.
But it may be, it's a cop-out answer 100% from our point of view. And I didn't think it was a good answer. And I thought it should have been answered better. But I also got just the impression that it was one of those, it's the best that can be done. And so that's all that's like there is no good answer. There is from their point of view, not from ours. We think we can solve it. I think I can solve it. I tend to think I can solve anything I don't like in a casino. If somebody just let me. And we'd have the same number of blueberries in every muffin. But I got the impression it was just that acknowledgement of this is all we can do. And the priority is going to be protecting the house on an unmonitored game before it's going to be rating players in a fair way. And that's not an answer I want to hear. That's not an answer I like at all. And yeah, Doc, yeah. I had the same conclusion in the moment.
The only thing I'm thinking, on one hand, you have labor-intensive regular table. On the other hand, you have this craps machine that is nobody's there except player, and the machine is paying out at a rate of a craps table versus a slot machine that's paying out at a rate of a 92%. So for them, I guess whatever the craps payouts are, probably somewhere around 98%, 99%, depending on how you bet. So that differential between 92 and 98, they say, well, what do we do? Let's make it up by not giving out comps. That's the only thing I'm thinking out loud, that maybe that's what the suits at the casinos, how they view it.
I also think that they feel like they can't put the right information together to sort out the hedging piece of it, where they seem to feel like they get a good read on not comping if you're really betting zero, if you're really betting to a fully hedged out situation. And they didn't think they could do that there. And my immediate question was, well, if you have the tech to do it there, why not apply it to the other tech? Ultimately, it's all numbers and chips. I don't know, but did you catch that Ellis Island does give full comp points for the odds bet?
I think I recall.
That blew me away.
That's huge.
That blew me away. They're giving you on a non-house advantaged wager, they are giving you comp credit, tier credits for odds, and that's not industry standard.
On the bubble craps, it just seems like they could just measure dollars in and dollars out, because everything's there. It knows exactly what you put in and how much you walked away with. There's no they don't have to estimate a return to player or anything. They know exactly what you did on there. If you're using a card, they can track it over time. So it doesn't seem that complicated.
VCPD, I agree, and that's I love the confirmation, right? Because Dr. ECE heard the same segment that I heard and reached the same conclusion, and you're thinking the same thing I was thinking. Bubble craps, still not a perfect vessel.
We just got bubble craps at my casino. They just put it in there, but I've been playing the electronic, the blackjack and baccarat games, and those, they give you points. And it just measures your dollars in. It gives you a point for every $5 or $10 you put in.
Right, but once again, you can't effectively hedge in those games. That's the only, and I'm not saying that's the answer. I'm just saying you can't hedge a blackjack wager.
I have two questions. So for somebody who doesn't play craps very often, my first question is, for the private table, why was the crapless craps requested as their preferred game?
Okay, so I came away from this weekend firmly with the belief that dice influencing is real. I can't do it myself. I'm not suggesting that I can do it myself. But it is very, very real. I reached a point where for certain shooters, I knew that most of the time they were going to have long rolls. And I knew that most of the time they were going to tend to throw more of this number than this number. And these guys, a lot of them know each other. A lot of them play together multiple times a year. Once again, my impression, if they were all sitting here, they might go, "I never met him before in my life." My impression only. And certainly different points of view might have seen the world a different way. They believe that they are often going to have multiple long rolls. They don't want their come out roll taken out by a 2, 3, 12. They don't. They want to get paid on the extremes where they're getting paid, 3 to 1. They want to get paid that. They want to play on all the numbers because they think they're going to get multiple hits on multiple numbers and press things up. And they want the easier game. They're not going to bet the don'ts. And I prefer to use all the standard available bets. That would be my first choice. But they prefer to go for lots of rolls and getting paid a lot on lots of wagers and making enough that even if the extremes start at minimums and don't get hit, then in relationship to the rest of the numbers, they're going to make enough that it doesn't particularly matter. At least that's my take on it.
Hey, TOG, can I chime in real quick?
Sure, please.
I was thinking too, when Gator asked the question too, was that, you got your horde numbers, which are one roll bets. On a crapless craps table, it stays up. So you bet it, it stays because it's placed. So it's not going to come down every time. It's going to stay there for you. So you're not losing it like on the 2, 3, 12, 11. The horde numbers, you're not losing it after one roll. It's placed and it stays just like any other number you're going to place, the 4, 5, 6, 8, any of those. So that gives you a little advantage there too, to not lose as much possibly.
Excellent.
But that's just my thought from
they're larger payouts too, like the 2 and 12, I think pay 6 to 1. Where the 3 and 11 pay 3 to 1, I believe.
So basically 7 on a come out wins. Everything else becomes a point. The only way to lose is another 7, right?
Right.
Correct.
Okay. All right. That makes sense.
And did you have part 2?
Yeah. So I mean, I think you answered it, but you had said a lot of these guys believe, and you now believe it after witnessing it, that there's group influence in this game and that it's a ton of financial gain. So I go a little deeper there. What you meant by that?
So I don't want to suggest that every time the tall guy, just to put a generic name on somebody, because these are real people and I have no right to use anything that would identify them. But I'm not saying that tall guy, every time he got the dice, always threw for 20 or 30 or 40 tosses in a hand. I don't want to say that at all. But almost all of his tosses, and this was true of almost all of them, almost all of their tosses were longer than statistically should occur. When I play locally, PSOs are really 0.7 out. Point established, 7 rolled, all money lost, except on the don'ts, is really common, multiple times an hour. And yeah, the people that do well, not the good shooters, the random shooters, the whatever, yeah, you get some people that get to 4 or 5, kind of the statistical average, and they're out. And it's unusual to get rolls in the high teens, 20s, the 30s. Oh my gosh, come on. That was the norm. The norm was to get to 9 or 10, and then everybody go, oh, we were just getting started. Oh man, almost. And I will tell you this, by the time we got to the second night, I would literally go, uh-oh, that left dice slipped, and he would go, crap, it slipped. And it'd be big red. I could see from my little don't corner that makes me a cheater that the dice had slipped, that the dice had come off that guy's fingers wrong. And that doesn't mean they're all the same. That doesn't mean they're all robots. They have different grips. They have different stances. They hit different numbers more often than they hit other numbers. But they know what to expect to hit. It appears they know what to expect each other to hit to an extent, and they go longer as a group. And there was a couple guys there that insisted on shooting. I did not shoot with that group, by the way, that insisted on shooting. And you could just see that I saw it for myself. I'm like, maybe I'll throw 15 on the 6. Okay. Not really going to press that. And the other guys are the same way. Oh, I'll take a $3 hard 6 and a $3 hard 8. The same guy was a $50 hard 6 and hard 8 when this guy had the dice. They go longer than average. They repeatedly over an entire weekend. The ones who were good were consistently good.
So then to that point, I would assume, like yourself, I would be the smart person to be like, pass the dice to tall guy. Tall guy, get the dice back again. Let's go make some money.
Exactly. At least I felt that was what I felt in this group, what I didn't know, that I could contribute keeping my mouth shut and passing the dice and making sure my bets were not in anybody's way.
Sure.
On the table. And that's what I was going to contribute. And then I was going to back up anybody in the group that in any way got in a conversation that needed some backup.
That kind of thing. You don't put any pass line bets when the dice are coming your way. You just stay out of the way.
Yep. That is exactly what I did. But I would, if I was free, if I was free and I was invited, I would travel any distance to be at one of those tables. And it took me a whole day to figure out how to bet it. I bet it wrong the whole first night. And it took me a whole day it took me a day to process it. And imagine that, right? I'm sitting at Craps for the Cure and I'm trying to do the networking stuff and I'm trying to represent all of us. And I'm trying to, explain that I've got this donation, and then I've got to kind of write a script in my head because they're going to put me on camera on short notice. And the back of my brain is going, why didn't you make money? Why didn't you make money? Why didn't you make money? What did you do wrong? They were making money. Why didn't you make money? And I'm processing the whole thing and realizing I completely bet it. The betting it the way I play at home doesn't fit because they don't perform the way the people I play with at home perform. And so I did much better the second day.
Does any of that play benefit the Craps for the Cure charity, or are they just all donations?
So for this year, for this event, there was no direct link. This is hearsay because I wasn't there. But my understanding is last year, when it was in a real functioning, operating casino, was that people were bringing wins over and donating them. The private table event that I was at was not directly in association with Craps for the Cure. We had some of the people who were online for Craps for the Cure come play at our table a little bit on Saturday night, but there was no direct link, or the direct link being Eric from PCH was going to be in town to represent PCH on the stream. And so he figured, well, he was going to be there, why not host an event and bring some people in? However, great story. A guy that was shooting at the table where I was on Saturday early evening, then left and joined John and some of the other people. And I don't know exactly who was there. I wasn't, but they went over to Paris and he threw a 6-point fire. Now, the way fire works, if you're not familiar with it, is you make the bet when the person starts the hand, and each unique point they set. So they set the 5 and then they throw the 5 again. That's one fire. And depending on the table, when you get, it's a side bet. And when you get to 3 or 4 points of fire, then you start maybe making 15-1. But if you get 6 points, that's unheard of. Gabriel's thrown a 5-pointer a couple times. I've thrown a couple 4-pointers. I've seen multiple 5-pointers thrown. I've never seen a 6-pointer thrown. I've only heard of one other 6-pointer being thrown, but it, depending on the table, it can pay up to as much as like 1,500 to 1. Wow. And so this guy threw a 6-point fire. Incredible. Oh, I got to say this. Don't let me forget that point. I'll remember it's that point. He threw a 6-point fire, and one of the other people who was attending the event made $2,500 on his fire bet and donated $1,000 to Craps for the Cure. So was there any direct correlation? No. But did money made by really good craps players get donated? Yes, it did. Let's do that thing. This is important. So the guy who threw that 6-point fire also had an incredible role at the table that I was on with him earlier in the evening. And when we were high-fiving him and congratulating him, I said, hey, I'm going to talk about this on my podcast. I want to make sure I get your name right. Gave him one of my chips with and he goes, I am sorry, dude. I am sorry. I've been out here. I have given away every single chip I brought with me. I don't have a chip to give you. And I said, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I just want to make sure I give you credit for this great role that you just had. And he said, yeah. I'm on YouTube, or I'm not on YouTube, but I'm on Facebook. I'm live every week. I'm the Texarkanian. I quickly made a note in my phone, Texarkanian. I've been looking for this guy. I had another conversation with him the next day at the event again, 30, 40 minutes, all kinds of stuff about what he does and what I do. And I can't find the guy. I have done multiple YouTube searches, even though he said he's not on YouTube. I thought maybe I misunderstood. I've done multiple Facebook searches. I can't find the guy. So anybody that's in this virtual room, if you know of him, or if you come across him as you're doing other things in other media, anybody in the squad listening to this podcast, listening to this episode, Texarkanian, if you happen to listen to this episode, dude, because you were out of chips due to your success, I am struggling to find you and reconnect. Please reach out to me. If you folks out there, anybody out there in the squad that knows, please relay any information you have. He was a good dude. We had some good conversations. I think we could help each other a little bit, and I'm looking for it.
So overall, you're glad you went to the event?
Yeah. As you know, because we were having some texts back and forth. I came out of the first day and I was like, boy, I don't know. I'd have information wise, I'd have gotten more information just watching it on. I didn't have to come out here to watch this. I would have gotten more information, could have donated all the ticket price and not sat around in a loud room and watched other people record stuff. And it took me a minute back in the hotel room and a Canadian whiskey to kind of go, no, you met this person and this person and this person. You got this business card and this business card. You changed chips with this guy and this guy. And then my phone starts to light up a little bit. People I've never heard of are suddenly following me on all kinds of social media. And I'm like, yeah, there's the lesson, TRG, you moron. You just met these guys and you just changed chips with them. You're supposed to be following them because they're taking the time to follow you. You idiot. This is exactly why you came, to learn all this stuff that you don't know about how this works. And so I started to realize that that's when the whole thing hit me that, yeah, you guys had the idea and you guys were generous enough to put your money in and get us on camera, and that I was accomplishing so many of these things, and that I didn't need to save the cost of 2 more Ubers and waste the ticket I'd already bought, that I needed to go back and do better, that I saw how I hadn't done well. So I'm 100% so thrilled that I took the time to do it, that I went out. I'm thrilled that it was a great cause, and I'm thrilled that I met Lori, the COO, and really believe that it is a good cause, and that they're doing right by these dogs, and they're doing right by these vets, and they're putting as much revenue as they can into it. It is something that I want to go on and keep doing. And I learned a lot. I grew as a creator. I'm not even sure I'm comfortable with that title, but I grew as a creator. I think it helped the podcast a tremendous amount. Only time will tell. I got to be a lot better craps player. I strengthened my PCH relationship. I checked a lot of boxes in a lot of tracks. I built a relationship with the station's casinos. I mean, talk about crazy. I played my first craps table and went and checked the kiosk. I'll come back to that. Went and checked the kiosk, and I'd already gone in one craps table from tier 1 to tier 2 in their reward system. By the time I left, after one visit, I was halfway into the 3rd tier. Another weekend, and I don't think I'll get there before the first of the year, but another weekend would put me solidly into their 3rd tier. I'll still take tier 2 into the next earning period, and it'll roll over. Tony, I'll let you decide this one. Do we want to tell the slot machine story, or do we just skip that because you know that one?
I think you should tell the story.
Okay. So they're having a giveaway, and they are giving away to invited guests this really kind of half-zip quilted gray pullover that says Vegas Knights embroidered on it. Looks really nice, and it's only for invited guests or if you earn 300 points. I'm like, oh, shucks. I earned 1,000 points at the very first table and got to tier 2. I'm going to go get my really cool Las Vegas Knights half-zip quilted vest because it's getting a little chilly, and I might actually appreciate having that when I get back to Cleveland and Chicago. And so I go find the place where they're giving them out, and I give her my card, and she goes, you weren't invited. And I said, well, I know, but I earned 300 points. And she goes, you didn't play any slots. And I go, oh, it's only slots? And she's like, yeah, it's I said, but I played craps. I earned over 1,000 points. She goes, oh, it's only slots. So I went, okay. And this is
hold my whiskey.
Go ahead.
You said, hold my whiskey. I'll be right back.
It was still early. I hadn't gone to the whiskey quite yet, but I was childish. I was immature. I was annoyed. I was annoyed that I wasn't getting a gift from a place I'd never been until an hour and a half, 2 hours before. And it was a problem. And when there is a problem, I like to find a casino solution. And what am I walking by? I am walking by a Sword of Destiny slot machine. And the thing about Sword of Destiny, it's a real unique setup. I saw them at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas last October. Every 10 spins at a particular dollar amount is a bonus event. And you accrue various bonuses along the left-hand side, and the number of rows you're playing can grow from the initial 3 up to as many as 10. And we found last year at Caesars that if you put in $100 and did 10 presses at 75 cents, often you would have more than a 10% profit when you did the 10th spin, and you could pull your money out. And so I did. Oh, and if you don't do it with 75 cents, then you do it with $1.50, and there are 5 levels, and you just work your way up, and rarely do you get all the way to the end, because at some point, the 10th spin bonus adds so many different wilds and so many different multipliers and so many different this, that you just end up with a profit. And sometimes it's only $8, $9, $10, and sometimes it's $50. And so I ran my 100 through, I made $10. I checked, I had made the kind of points they wanted me to make. I proceeded to run $700 through that machine, $100 at a time. 6 winners, 1 loser, $175 in profits, and enough points to get the jacket.
Give me my jacket.
Right. I went back, I gave her my card, and I got my jacket. Childish.
You make the rules, I'm playing by the rules.
You're right. I just don't. Let's just all be nice and just give me the things you're giving out, and I won't hurt the casino.
We could do it the hard way or the easy way.
Exactly. They picked the hard way, and that was fine. I really liked playing that machine. And then, full disclosure, the last day when I was just trying to mess around, kill some time, not screw up what I had done so far on the trip, play a little bit, I went, oh, I'll go back to Sword of Destiny, and I got smacked. I completely smacked.
Well, as we wind this up, does anybody else have any other questions they'd like to ask TRG about this event?
Well, let's see if we can get the craps for the cards for the cure in there for next time. I mean, I just thinking you could do some sort of tournament, and part of the prize pool could be for players, and part of it could go to the charity.
One last one for me. I was on mute. Sorry. What do you think of Wizard of Oz? Because I'm on his site every day practically. What do you think of the guy? I guess
Michael Shackelford.
Michael, yeah.
Shackelford, yeah.
So, I didn't know if we'd get here or not, and I'm happy to take some other questions. And we're going to put a pin in that one for just a few minutes. We're going to take any other questions. Tony's going to send the segment home, and then don't walk away. Don't go anywhere. Don't say goodbye. Then we're going to do TRG After Dark. And I'm going to answer that question because it needs to be answered, not for public consumption.
Well, with that being said, I just want to remind everybody to please tip your waitresses, tip your bartenders, tip your dealers. If you have a host, tip your host. Please don't tip away your wins. We have spoken. Everything you heard here is true from a certain point of view. In 10 years, we may find out we were all wrong about all of this. It's time for leaving, and I hope you understand. TRG was born a rambling man. Love it, hate it, it don't matter. Please share with your family and friends. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks for listening. The best part of the podcast is next, the Casino Combat Blues.
Shaq here, spinning fast-acting pain relief with Icy Hot. Ice works fast, heat makes it last. Icy Hot, you're so back.
Mint is still $15 a month for premium wireless. And if you haven't made the switch yet, here are 15 reasons why you should. 1, it's $15 a month. 2, seriously, it's $15 a month. 3, no big contracts. 4, I use it. 5, my mom uses it. Are you playing me off? That's what's happening, right? Okay, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, $15 per month equivalent required. New customer offer first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See mintmobile.com.
For Atlantic City Empress, Casino Combat's ace. There are profits in the casino tonight. I can feel it in my bones. I had a premonition. You should probably play alone. I know the house has that advantage, but that's part of the thrill. If we follow the core concepts, the chips begin to spill. So baby, here's your player's card. Put your bankroll in your hand. Use just some of that money now. Do it just the way we planned. Just follow the core concepts, and you could win several grand. Well, it's good if it goes down like that. Don't have to play to lose. It's gambling as a business. The Casino Combat Blues. Casino Combat Blues. The dealers and the pit bosses, the security and the law, the winning and the losing and the tricks nobody saw. No matter if it's blackjack, roulette or craps, you gotta carry defense, cause you always carry cash. There's lots of shady characters, lots of dirty deals. Everybody has an alias, cause that's more fun we feel. It's the lure of winning money, it's got a very strong appeal.